Deflagration was a disaster. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a good episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but it's just mainly the circumstances that led to this episode that kind of ruined it for me. I think we can all agree that transmission was the real disaster. Quite frankly, it just didn't make sense, storyline-wise. The things that happened in the episode logically would have and should have never happened. And so, because of transmission, I feel like Deflagration ended up being not the best. It's like the bad writing of these episodes outweigh the good concept of them, which really sucks because, like I said, I do think that this was an amazing episode. Rating-wise, I would probably give it a 7 out of 10. Anyway, quick recap of transmission. Adrian and Marinette were going through it. Things just weren't working out with them, and to try to solve the problem, Tiki and Plag had them give up their miraculous, hence why we have 𝚑𝚊𝚅𝚅 and 𝚑𝚑𝚊𝚅𝚑. Adrian and Marinette spend the entirety of the akumatization together. 𝚑𝚑𝚅 and Zoe defeat the villain, and then, because of the alliance, Gabriel finds out who the secret identities of the new Ladybug and Cat Noir are. And that is where it ends, obviously bringing us to Deflagration. So, the episode starts off with Clara Quintard interviewing 𝚑𝚑𝚅𝚑 and 𝚑𝚑𝚅𝚅. She eventually asks if Ladybug and Cat Noir gave up their miraculous so that way they would be able to live their love story, which is funny because it's accurate, but more so because nobody knows just how accurate she was besides Tiki and Plag. But 𝚑𝚅𝚅 responds saying that they were never in love and neither are her and 𝚑𝚑𝚅𝚅. And this, my friends, just goes to show that Plag must have some kind of effect on the holder when they transform, because Zoe responds with this.
Eles nunca foram apaixonados nem namorados, e nós também não. Até agora, né?
You cannot tell me that that is not something that Plag himself would say, Cat Noir would say, and also Lady Noir would say. Not gonna lie, this scene was definitely giving me season 1, season 2 Lady Noir vibes, and I loved it. I don't remember if I ever talked about this in my transmission video, but I just cannot with Zoe's suit. It doesn't even look real, honestly. It looks like a costume. I really, really love Zoe as the holder, but that suit has got to go, okay? They did her so dirty. Honestly, I think what they should have done is they should have not put green in her hair, given her black lipstick instead of green. They also should have connected her suit. Because what is that? It doesn't look like a super suit. Every single one of the superheroes has something that looks like an actual suit, but hers doesn't. Why? Anyway, back to the episode. Now, I know that Adrian was sad because Marinette hadn't called him or texted him, but in my world, Adrian was upset because he didn't have Plag. He just missed him so much. Which actually brings me to my first issue with Deflagration. We didn't see Adrian sad about not having Plag or being Cat Noir once. That was practically your best friend and you didn't even care? I'm sorry, but knowing Adrian, there's no way that he would just be okay with not having him around anymore. Oh, but honestly, what made me even more mad was the fact that we saw Tiki missing Marinette, but we didn't even see Plag missing Adrian. What? It's so stupid. Anyway, so Marinette goes over to 𝚑𝚅𝚅's house and Adrian ends up calling her.
No que eu digo às vezes. Quantos episódios eu perdi? O quê? Não teve nenhum episódio novo. Então, como é que você foi de eu sou patética e nunca mais vou amar pra eu tô namorando o Adrian?
I think that 𝚑𝚅 is saying how many episodes did I miss? And then how did we go from I'm pathetic and I'll never love again to yay I'm going out with Adrian is so ironic. Because that was literally me when Gloop skipped episode 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, and 17, and then just released episode 12, 16, and 18. We went from Marinette being in love with Kat to her going after Adrian once again, and even trying to tell Adrian that she loved him in both perfection and protection, to then her easily being able to say I love you in emotion. The next part of the scene that I wanted to talk about was 𝚑𝚅 saying that it wasn't really her responsibility anymore and she doesn't have to worry about Monarch or losing the miraculous anymore, because that's completely false. That idea, in my opinion, is the whole reason that the episodes logically don't make sense. In actuality, it is still her responsibility and she should be worrying. Yeah, she's not technically Ladybug, but she's still the guardian, so yes, of course it's her responsibility to get the miraculous back because she's in charge of them. Taking away her responsibility as Ladybug doesn't take away her responsibility as the guardian, which is something that they totally, I guess, forgot to talk about in the episodes or totally disregard, which is just stupid. Not to mention, I really don't think that it should be up to other people to fix her mistake. But anyway, can I just say, I love Zoe and Plag. They have a really cute dynamic. I mean, obviously it doesn't top Adrian and Plag because nothing could, but it's still cute.
O que deu em você, Gabriel?
Now, this part, I wasn't even gonna talk about it, but it's so stupid, it's funny. I have never laughed harder in my life than I did watching that scene, because that dance, was not it. And I also really don't understand why they had that song playing if he wasn't actually singing. But let me tell you, Natalie makes up for everything. Like, she is so over his crap, she doesn't even care to hide it, and I love that. Now, speaking of Natalie, actually, we end up seeing her in her room looking at the videos Emily made, and she says, "I miss you, Emily, but I'm scared of the price Gabriel is willing to pay to bring you back." Which kind of made me realize something. As we all know, Natalie started helping Gabriel get Emily back because she was in love with him and was willing to do anything for him. But obviously now she pretty much hates him and is against what he's trying to do, which kind of brought up the question, why isn't she necessarily doing anything to stop him? And well, after Deflagration, I think the answer is a part of her wants Gabriel to bring her back because she misses her. Like, obviously you can tell that Natalie doesn't like what she's doing or what Gabriel is doing, but obviously she never tried to do anything to stop it, and I think it's mainly just because deep down inside, a part of her wanted Gabriel to save Emily because she wanted her back. But back to Gabriel, he uses Pollen, Mulo, Oriko, Kalki, and Stomp's powers and heads to the school to find someone to akumatize so that way he would actually be able to get the miraculous. Meanwhile, at the school, the Resistance has this little meeting thing. I don't know. It was just their plan to stop akumatizations, which is literally so sweet. I love Nino. And speaking of Nino, this has to be one of my favorite scenes in the episode. Sometimes I think I just forget how much I love Alia and Nino and like them together and just like how cute they are. And then there's always these little moments that just like remind me of why I love them. Like the "you don't have to be super to be my hero" killed me. They're so freaking cute. The next part of this episode is lunch, where we see Adrian and Marinette just trying to have a nice lunch date, but obviously Chloe has to come over and try to ruin it. She makes fun of Marinette for being the baker's daughter, as usual, but also finally tells Adrian that Marinette was in love with him after he had already found out. Her timing really cracks me up. Now, obviously this isn't a video about my opinions on Chloe. However, I just need to say I have never really liked Chloe, but honestly, if I had, this scene would definitely be the thing that made me really despise her. Like, she's literally being so mean to Marinette. And for what? Everything about this scene I love. Adrian telling Chloe to go away, the way his face like quickly changes when he goes back to looking at Marinette. Zoe stopping Chloe from smashing pie in her face, dragging her back to the table and shoving her in her seat. Stan Zoe, honestly. I really don't know why people don't like her. Anyway, so moving on to the second to last section of the episode, which is actually the reason why I love this episode so much. I just think that the fighting scene has to be one of the best in the show. Basically, Monarch paralyzes Zoe and Alia so that way he could get the miraculous, and he also paralyzes Plag and Tiki so that way they wouldn't be able to do anything about it. Then he tries to combine them, but they were able to resist a little bit, and Tiki calls out a lucky charm for Ladybug. Then Plag quickly cataclysms the ring so that way Monarch wouldn't actually be able to make any kind of wish, because obviously you need both Kwamis and working miraculous in order to do it. I think one of the reasons why this is my favorite scene is because of Plag and Tiki. Not necessarily because of what they did, but just because I love them and I love seeing them work together. But anyway, Marinette gets the lucky charm, which tells her that something is wrong, and that's when she ends up going into the bathroom to find Alia. And that's when she realizes that Monarch must have been there. So she goes home and makes a ladybug suit and a fake lucky charm, then goes out to fight Monarch, which, let me just say, he is so stupid. Like, Ladybug is right there with nothing to really hide her identity but a helmet, and you didn't think of, I don't know, maybe taking it off? Like, yeah, he had the miraculous, so technically it doesn't really matter whether he knew or not, but like, still, if I were him, I would take it off just in case things went south and she somehow got the miraculous back, so that way I would know who to go after. Also, not to mention, I would want to know the secret identity of my enemy. Sometimes I I just really question his logic. Anyway, so the reason she made a fake lucky charm was in case he tried to use it to fix everything, which is what happened. And honestly, I think that was one of the smartest moves. But yeah, so after he attempts to fix everything, then comes in the resistance, and there are two things that I have to say about this. First of all, Juleka and Rose just running at Monarch with Chloe made me laugh. And also, Stan Adrian. This right here is the best thing I have ever seen. I have been waiting for a scene like that because that was his son, and he knew it, unlike when he's fighting with Cat Noir. There's just something so satisfying about that. Like, imagine not only getting defeated by your own son, but actually knowing that it was your son. Adrian ends up giving the miraculous back to Ladybug, and she gets her lucky charm, fixes everything as per usual, and then gets the cat miraculous as well. But more importantly, she sees the rings and realizes that he's changed the miraculous, which I honestly was not expecting to happen so soon. I thought that the first time she would see the change was after he got defeated, but I guess I was wrong. Monarch then goes back to his lair, or whatever you want to call it, and says something a little interesting.
É só questão de tempo. Você nem sempre vai ter alguém para ajudar.
I think what he said was really interesting. It maybe is foreshadowing something. Anyway, so going back to the reasons why I dislike this episode again, we didn't get to see a Plagg and Adrian reunion. When I tell you, I have been waiting for this episode just for that reunion scene, and we didn't even get one. But we saw him say goodbye to Zoe, which was adorable, and I love that scene, so I'm not complaining. But Adrian and Plagg, once again, it didn't seem like he missed Adrian at all, or was even like happy that he would get to see him again, which makes me so mad because I swear it's so unlike the characters. I'm sorry, but they did a terrible job at writing some of the stuff in this episode. Oh, and don't even get me started on Lady Noir. Like, yes, I love the scene. It was cute. Any kind of crumb that we get of them, I'm obsessed with. But they didn't even talk about the fact that they gave up the miraculous or that they missed each other. I can't. I'm done.